I'd like to call the meeting to order and welcome everyone.
Good evening. This meeting is being held in accordance with the schedule of meetings adopted at the organizational meeting held January 5th, 2022. Adequate notice of this regular meeting of the Kenilworth Board of Education has been provided to the Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger, the local source, on January 20th, 2022. The meeting location has been changed via notice on May 5, 2022. A copy has been filed with the Kenilworth Borough Clerk, posted in the Board Office, the Kenilworth Borough Hall, Brewerly and Harding Schools, as is provided by the Open Public Meetings Act.
Thank you, Mr. Ganella. Please join me in the salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Ganella, can we please have roll call?
Minor. Here. David. Here. Drogan.
Here.
Haberther.
Here.
Jankowitz.
Here.
Ladati.
Here.
Panici.
Here.
Tears.
Here.
Zimmerman. We have quorum.
Thank you. We will now have the receiving of the minutes from October 11, 2022. May I please have a motion to accept the receiving of the minutes from October 11, 2022?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Haberther, seconded by Mrs. Drogan. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, ayes have it, motion carries. Mr. Ganella, do we have any monthly correspondence?
Yes, we have one item. We have the certification of results of the special election held on October 6, 2022 from the County Board of Elections.
Okay. Very good, anything else?
That's it.
Okay, may I please have a motion to accept the monthly correspondence?
Make a motion?
Second? Okay. Motion made by Mrs. Drogan, seconded by Mr. Jankowitz. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion's carried, thank you. We'll now have the superintendent's report and presentations, Mr. Arlington.
Yes, good evening, everybody. I'm happy to start by turning it over to the board's student representative, Kaylee Payne.
Chaz, have you seen here or there?
There, so the microphone picks you up.
Good evening. Some updates for the day. Congratulations to our two Braley Fall sports. Both boys soccer and the football team were conference champions this year. There's been a lot of school pride around these two programs with lots of student fans coming to the games. These successes on the field follow significant school pride experiences for Braley. We had over 400 students attend the homecoming dance, leading us to have to switch from having it in the cafeteria to the back gym. But we made it turn out very nice, and everyone seemed to have a very lovely time, including the PTO moms. We had a successful pep rally on October 28th, and our school spirit events continue this week and next. The annual Powder Puff football game is now actually moved to the following Tuesday, so not tomorrow, the next Tuesday at 6 p.m. on the field. And the middle school dance is this Friday at 6 p.m. in the cafeteria. And next week, on the day before Thanksgiving, the high school will participate in interclass games. Interclass games is a very big class bonding activity, sporting trivia event that the high school does and participates in, and it's personally one of my favorites. In college and post-secondary planning news, we had our college fair in the back gym on October 19th. Close to 40 schools were present. All high school students made their way through the fair. College instant decision days are coming up. Communication to seniors happens via announcements, Google Classroom, and email to students and parents. Caldwell, FDU, UCC, Seton Hall, and Montclair are all in the next month. The AP exam registration deadline is today. Following on the success of October's freshman college experience, the guidance department is planning similar experience days for sophomores and juniors in December to coincide with the return of their PSAT results. The Braley Theater is excited to produce this year's drama. The cast and crew have been working hard on the show, which is called It's a Wonderful Life, a live radio play. This is a spin on the holiday classic movie. Show dates are December 3rd and 4th, and tickets will be on sale soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Great
Kaylee.
job.
Does anybody have questions for Kaylee? Nope. No, please. Thank you. Well done.
Thank you.
Mr. Ganella is going to present some updates around the referendum.
Good evening. So since we last met in October, there's been a lot of activity taking place regarding the referendum, the projects, and funding. So we've moved from the pre-referendum process to the post-referendum process, which includes, since we certified the results at the end of October, several meetings have taken place with our project team, our design team. So I'd like to update you on the status of where we are as of today. So we have taken an aggressive approach to selling the bonds, which will finance these projects. Back in October, the board authorized the sale of the bonds. Since then, these are some of the activities that have taken place. On October 31st, I had a call with Standard & Poor's, which is the rating agency, and we conducted a presentation and conference call with S&P, where there were a series of questions to determine our financial position and stability. Our financial advisors also participated in the conference call, and we reviewed some of the points regarding the district's position from a financial perspective. The purpose of that was to obtain a rating from Standard & Poor's, which we did receive on November 7th, and it was a AA, minus AA, which is pretty good. They factor in a lot of not only ours, but the state's ability to pay. So our financial advisors feel that the rating should provide investors with confidence in our bonds. Overall, S&P was pleased, and I'm quoting here, with our solid and consistent financial performance, as well as our consistent reserve levels. Tomorrow is the bond sale. We are hoping this approach, aggressive approach, will benefit the board to secure lower interest rates as rates continue to increase, as well as receiving funding, which we will invest and receive interest income on. We were fortunate last week. Rates ticked down slightly after last week's inflation numbers came out, and lower than expected, so that's a good thing. Additionally, supply in the market is low right now, which has been driving up some interest in recent bond sales. And as of today, we have 10 bidders who requested good faith deposit wire instructions. So that's also a good sign that hopefully we're going to be competitive in tomorrow. I will update the board tomorrow with the closing information and how we do. So we decided to bundle the packages and create all the projects through the various schools, through the various disciplines, into 3 specific projects. And you can see here, the package 1 includes the athletic, ward field, and track, but not the grass fields. So within that, we have the drainage, the synthetic field, the new track, fencing around the perimeter of the stadium, and repair and replace the walkways. And package number 2 will focus on the mechanical and the HVAC projects in both schools. Will include the new unit ventilators in both Brearley and Harding, the building management system or the control system that operates all our HVAC systems, and then various rooftop units as well as other system upgrades. Package number 3 includes the middle high school addition, which also has the 4 science labs in it, the new lobby or entrance to Brearley that's going to be near the parking lot, the auxiliary gym conversion into the middle school gym / cafeteria, site work that was not included in package number 1 for the fields, as well as the middle school drop-off loop, and then finally the Harding and Brearley auditorium renovations. We're hoping that this approach will make the individual packages more attractive to contractors, as well as reduce the number of subcontractors involved on a significant pieces of the project. It also allows us to control the timelines better with the separate packages being bid separately. It allows us to bid the projects when we need to bid them, and we can control them. Particularly, we can get the HVAC project out first and not hold up and not have that not held up by the other projects, some of which require Department of Education approvals, which sometimes take longer. It also, if we bid them together, we'd be asking a general contractor who oversees, would have to oversee $10 million in non-general contracting work. So the $4.5 million for the fields and the $5.5 million for the HVAC are not general contractor work. Not only does that make that less attractive to a general contractor who's bidding on that, but it also eliminates the general contractor's overhead on those projects, which could be as much as 10%. So right off the bat, we'd be saving $1 million on that just by splitting up the packages. Each package will have a separate specifications and timelines for the completion. These are not written in stone and can be modified almost up until we go out to bid and the specs go out. So here is a brief timeline of project number 1, which includes, as I said, the athletic fields, the drainage, the synthetic field, the new track, the fencing, and sidewalks. We'll be starting the stakeholders meetings in April, going out to bid in July, and have the project completion in June. So the timelines, when we're talking about the timelines, what we, as I said earlier, we want to have distinct timelines for each one of these packages, and we're considering multiple factors when we're developing these timelines. So how the project's construction will impact on the operation of the school district is something that we took into consideration. The school calendar and specific events, equipment availability and lead times for acquisition of that equipment, anticipated build or construction times, and finally seasonal weather, which could have some impacts on certain aspects of the projects. And we will continue to refine these timelines moving forward and consider other items as well. Just an example on this one, how we tweak this and move things around. The original timeline that SSP considered for the completion of the fields was July 1st, 2024, which would have been ample time for us to host the athletic events that were going on in September 2024. However, we modified it to what you see here as the 6/15 project completion to allow us to actually hold graduation on our field. So it's something that we, as we know, but the certain contractors might know, that's important to us to be able to have the field available for our graduation. So moving on to package number 2's timelines. Some of the HVAC items, especially the unit ventilators, require very long lead times, so we need to be flexible on how this is implemented, especially with COVID, with the ESSER money that's available. These unit ventilator manufacturers, which there are only several of them have been very busy preparing for all these projects that are going on around schools. For example, New Providence just last week approved their bond referendum, which is a full HVAC renovation of all 3 of their schools. So we want to get ahead of them by about 2 weeks. So in this particular project, we envision some of the work being done during the summer of 2023. Perhaps the infrastructure or staging work can be done during that summer, but most of the work will be done in 2024 when we feel that the actual units will be available. The lead times for these units are sometimes 8 to 12 months, so it's very, very long. When I did the original replacement unit ventilators in Harding, we bid it in April and we had the units in July. So that's how much it's changed. If I were to bid in April, I would not expect it till the following July. So very significant changes in that, segment of the economy. We also might need to consider storage of these units. We're gonna have well over 100 of these units that are about the size, are the size of what's just right there behind you. You know, if we order them and we get them, what are we gonna do with them? We want them, but we might not be able to install them all at one time, so we have to consider storage as a possibility. And then depending on what the schedule is, we might have to phase in the installation. We might not be able to get it all done over one summer. So does that mean that we have to work with the contractors to say, okay, you'll have these 2 classrooms to work on this week, we won't put any kids in here, and you work in there. And then the following week, you get these 2. So that's what schools have to start thinking about in this post-COVID world. The third package, which is the most significant package here, is as I said, it's the package that includes the new middle school addition, the science labs, the lobby, the new lobby, the auxiliary gym conversion, the site work that's not included in the Ward Field renovation, and then the auditorium projects. Since there are multiple projects included in this package, there'll be several sub-timelines which we will need to consider. For example, the auditoriums might not start the same time as the new addition. So there's going to be multiple timelines within there because there are multiple sub-projects in there. But the goal there is to start the project this summer and have it ready by August 2025 so the middle school can move in. There's a fourth package that we didn't talk about, that I'm not going to talk about tonight, but that's what happens when we move the middle school, the 6th grade, out of Harding and into Brearley. Then we could start the renovation to whatever we need to do at Harding. So here is a quick down and dirty of where you could see all 3 packages focusing on the start of construction, when substantial completion is expected, and when turnover or final completion is anticipated. So we got a long road ahead, a lot of work, a lot of exciting work. I'm sure there'll be a little bit of aggravation here or there, but we'll get through it. I want to talk a little about stakeholder meetings. We feel it's important to gather input from various stakeholders regarding the design for several of these projects. These subcommittees will be meeting over the next several months and provide us, along with our design team and development team, ideas on how the projects will impact the operation and the students. So some of the teams that we envision putting together are the Brearley High School Science Labs, which will probably be administrators and science teachers, the Brearley Middle School Design and Classroom Space, which again will be teachers on how and administrators on how they see their spaces, auditorium renovations, lights, sounds, and seating. They would include the Performing Arts Department, the music department, as well as some outside organizations such as maybe CAST getting involved in how they envision that space. The athletic fields and renovations. Obviously, we'll be talking to the athletic department, coaches, phys ed people on how they envision the fields, and as well as recreation, because they utilize our facilities quite a bit. And then we also have the Harding Early Childhood and Extra Space over at Harding, which will be talking to our teachers, parents, and administration on how we best use that. And then finally, the parking and security needs, which I envision the Kenilworth Police Department playing an integral role in those meetings. And we might be able to take some field trips to see some auditoriums or see some science labs in schools that have recently gone through some of these renovations, and kindergarten spaces and pre-kindergarten spaces to get an idea of what's going on. Finally, I'd like to talk a little bit about professional services. There's several of them on this evening's agenda up for approval. You'll see the architect, who is SSP Architects, our engineers. We're going to approve them as Edwards Engineering. Topographic site survey through Edwards Engineering Group. Geotechnical services, including soil boring, structural infiltration, is Underwood Engineering. Very important, especially for the new addition, that we make sure that the footings are on sound ground and not on swampland out there in Brearley's, the old Shawcross Pond area of Brearley. So we want to make sure that they dig down deep enough to make sure that whatever we put there will not sink in 50 years or so. Then environmental soil services will be provided by Environmental Resolution Incorporated. And finally, not on this evening's agenda, but just to note, is our environmental asbestos, if needed, would be Partners, who is our service of record, so to speak, that takes care of our environmental. And then finally, something that I'm working on right now is a construction management RFP, which will be necessary to do. You have pre-construction work, construction work, and project closeout and post-construction work. Very important that we get a good construction manager to work on this project, because there are going to be so many moving points over so many long period of time. Just to give you an idea of what this involves, the pre-construction piece includes the review of the specifications and drawings for completeness and suitability. They provide cost estimates, develop a master schedule, assist in bidding strategy and awarding recommendations, prepare cash flow projections. On the construction phase, which is very, very important, they'll track compliance with the master schedule, make sure all our contractors are staying on in accordance with that schedule, conduct weekly project meetings in consultation with myself, act as the owner's representative with the architect and contractors, review and approve all change orders, review and approve all payment applications, coordinate the contractors and design team for solution problems encountered during the project, which there will be conflicts, there always are. So it's important that we have someone who has our interest involved, because sometimes architects and contractors don't have our interests involved. And ensure that the contractors are complying with all safety protocols. And then finally, in the project closeout, coordinate a punch list, assist with obtaining closeout documents, owner's manuals, assist with obtaining the certificate of occupancy, and then complete and final inspections prior to payments. And then finally, a service not listed on this slide, but I do want to talk about is legal contracts. I'm currently working with Jonathan King at Vito's office at Porzio to modify our current construction contracts and specifications to protect us as owners, while still working collaboratively with our contractors as partners to get the job done. COVID has changed a lot of things in construction, even the way I look at things, and I'm a realist, and I understand now that contractors can't be always held to tight timelines, because sometimes things are way beyond their ability to hold to those timelines as we have. So we have to have realistic contracts. So that's what Mr. King will be assisting us with. You could see that through COVID with the price increases. Some contractors aren't willing to bid if there's a specific timeline that says, well, you have to hold this contract to this price for X number of days, because these unit ventilators, for example, they're constantly changing their prices. They won't hold those for more than 30 days. Escalation clauses are another concern, delays, time extensions, and even governmental shutdowns. God forbid we have another COVID. How will that affect the contract? So all those things need to be considered. So I want to take our standard AIA contractor's contract and have Vito's office take a look at it and put some realistic language in there that doesn't force us to do something and doesn't also force the contractor to say, well, I'm done, I'm out of here, I'm not going to even bid on this project, or walk away midway through a project, which is the last thing we want to do. So we want to be realistic when we come to that. When it comes to that, any questions?
Yeah, Vince. Well, first of all, thanks for checking in, because I was worried about the timelines, getting projects done, and thanks for kind of taking care of that, or at least looking into it. When you're talking about the contracts, the hold harmless agreements, indemnification are all gonna be making sure we're protected in that
Yes.
manner? And I guess the last thing, I don't know how many of these people are gonna be on site on the campus, so, I mean, how many workers and stuff, when we're going over these contracts to make sure they're all background checks, that if we're gonna have 30 guys working in the building while the kids are here,
That's always.
The
that's-
safeguards,
that's
is that all
always
in
been-
place?
That's standard operating procedures even today. When we did the ESIP work, all
I remember
those
that,
people
yes,
have
yep.
to be, go through the fingerprinting
Okay.
process.
thank you.
Okay? Anything else?
Yeah, in the first package, you said the fencing around the perimeter. Does that include the fencing, is that the fencing on 14th Street?
It will
Or-
ultimately the fencing on 14th Street will be replaced. We don't know if it will be part of package 1 or package 3.
Okay,
Because the fields down on 14th Street are gonna be redone, but not in package 1.
right.
So my gut is we're gonna wait till package 3 to do that entire fence line, because don't forget, you're gonna be putting the drop-in loop on Monroe.
Right.
Which is going to mean that fence is gonna be removed. So the last thing I wanna do is put new fence in, just to realize that we have to have excavators and, I
No,
don't know
it's-
how the, I don't, we
It's
don't.
gonna be replaced.
It ultimately will be replaced, yes, along with the sidewalk.
Oh, good.
Good.
Yes, that whole.
You know how I feel about that
Yes,
stuff.
I do. Yes, I do. I totally agree with you. So, yes, that is in there.
So the other thing, I'm sorry, go ahead, Paula. No,
We will have some kind of a completion date with these contractors, I would hope. Not, except for unforeseen circumstances like another outbreak or something.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's not good to not have.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Jonathan's gonna have to guide us more on that. But, we used to have these clauses in there for liquidated damages. If you didn't get done by this day, I could start fining you $1,000. I just don't know how liquidated damages are hard to do on a normal year, because they always used to say, well, that wasn't my fault, that wasn't my fault, that wasn't my fault. I can imagine in today's economy, with the way things are, with supply chain issues and everything else, I just don't know if it's feasible. So we have to be able to work with our contractors as partners. If they come to us and they sign that contract, they want to get the job done. They don't want to be here for 3 years. If they could get the job done in 18 months, they want to get the job done in 18 months. So that's the way I feel about it. So I don't want to put something in a contract that is really going to be punitive to them, and also not allow them to say, forget it, I'm not even going to bid on that because it's not worth my time. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so it's not a matter of, well, thank you.
Yes.
So it's not a matter of not having a timeline, it's really just what I would call, safety valves in there for if it's a supply chain issue, if it's a virus issue, schools are closed, that sort of thing, where they don't wanna be in a position where they're going to be fined or terminated if there are circumstances beyond their control. So it's, given what we've lived through the last 2 or 3 years, safety valves in there where you're not absolving them of any responsibility, but you're absolving them of circumstances that they don't create. And liquidated damages provisions like the ones Vincent described are very seldom going to provide you with any relief, but they will discourage competition in a circumstance where it's hard to find reliable contractors who are going to put up with that these days. So it's some tweaking of the language that doesn't eliminate your protections, but makes them more realistic, and hopefully doesn't discourage a raft of reliable, quality bidders from which you can find a low bidder who is qualified.
Thank you.
can I ask one more thing?
Absolutely.
We were talking, I don't know if it was in our finance committee or in a regular board meeting, maybe something, with the public just voted, we just voted on this. Some of the timelines are a little extended. Is there something we're gonna do to try to get something done? Is that possible? Whether it's the entranceway or something early? It doesn't have to be. I just think it would kind of be nice, like within the next year, year and a half to get something.
We did talk to SSP that there's not much
Okay, I'm
that
fine.
we could really do. I mean, we can
Okay.
maybe put aside the future site of
Back to the future?
the really middle school.
No, okay, I'm good with that. at least you guys discussed it, it's
Yeah.
not possible, that's
Yeah.
fine. I'm good, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
Okay, usually September, October is when we showcase some of our district and school goals for the year. But because of the referendum, we kind of pushed that to November. So these goals that I'm about to share tonight bring us closer to achievements and define what we stand for as a district. We share our goals each year to provide context for every move we make, such as the technology we bring into classrooms, the assessments we use, and the instructional strategies and pedagogies we enact, to name a few. Our district goals mostly remain the same as last year. This consistency allows us to continue to deepen our work with greater breadth rather than add new goals in rapid succession year after year. Our cadre of goals, which I hope you'll join me in thinking of as aspirations we strive for rather than boxes we check, are foregrounded in this quick presentation. I'm going to share a short overview and then some highlights and intentions for our district goals this year, and close out with some commitments via next steps. Our district's main priorities nest inside these 5 goals. They center on a commitment to diversity and inclusion, innovation, referendum follow-through, student engagement, and using data as a way to advance achievement. I'd like to do a bit of unpacking of each to zoom in on the different scopes of work. So around diversity, equity, inclusion, we're partnering with Teachers College Columbia University for outside support. This includes a third-party audit to review our curriculum and educational approaches. We'll consider their recommendations for building a more culturally responsive, inclusive, and welcoming school community, not only by considering to hold more events like our recent Hispanic Heritage Night, but also more seriously looking at how we better weave our DEI efforts into our everyday curriculum and instruction so that it becomes part of the fabric of how we teach and learn. We'll also continue to upgrade technology and create opportunities to make our middle school and high school classes more innovative. So far, we've installed dozens of new interactive Promethean boards across Harding and Brewerly. As the curriculum committee saw tonight, we've begun to offer new electives like invention and innovation, some AP Comp Sci courses, esports, and gaming. We'll continue to look at how we add technology not merely for technology's sake, but in value additive ways. And as we strengthen our professional learning work, the focus is on how teachers' new or refined learning supports kids through innovative practices. As Vince mentioned, we've moved on to the design and project development phase of the referendum. Here are some of the highlights inherent in this goal. Given Mr. Gannella's presentation just now, it seems redundant to spend more time on the scope of work. Our 4th goal, district-wide, is on studying and applying best practices for student engagement, particularly in a post-pandemic environment where the rules of engagement for teaching and learning have changed. And then finally, we'll continue using multiple data sources to meet students' academic, behavioral, and social emotional needs. As part of our focus on this goal, we'll support professional learning communities focused on data, along with building data teams. We've also made it a point to focus on teachers' use of data in pre-observation conversations to explore ideas and push forward teachers' thinking to build a richer data culture. We also set goals for our schools that align with our district goals. Brewerly's first goal, Kaylee talked a little bit actually tonight, is a continuation of our ongoing work for the past few years focused on school counseling. This goal aims to develop a college/post-secondary curricula to develop greater student motivation and school engagement. Its second goal, or Brewerly's second goal, aims to support our broader engagement work through professional learning and feedback. And as you can see here, there's a tight alignment between the district goals and Brewerly's school goals, particularly in the engagement prong. And then finally, you'll see similar alignment here with Harding school goals. In support of our district goals centered on data-driven instruction and future-ready innovation, Harding school goals directly support those larger aims in Harding school specific ways. As we've habitized for the past few years, we'll continue to widely communicate our progress through a mid-year check-in. We've been doing that for a couple of years now, and other periodic updates that we send to the community. We'll also celebrate achievements and plan for course corrections as needed, as we progress monitor these goals and treat them as malleable and dynamic. But Madam President, ahead of those updates, I'm happy to take any questions from the board now.
Questions, anyone? No? Okay.
Okay. The last piece of my report is the monthly HIB incidents report. For the month of October, Harding had 1 reported incident. Burley had no reported incidents. As you can see from the summary, the Harding incident was investigated and determined to be unfounded. And just by way of, I guess, the record, later in the meeting, you'll be voting on September's HIB recommendations, which I shared with you at our meeting in October. I can give the group some time to look at that summary if you'd like, and then I'll try to answer any questions you may have. Seeing none.
Anyone have any questions? Do you need another minute or no? Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Robinson.
Okay, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now have a report of committees, review of resolutions, and board discussion. First up, Finance and Facilities and Negotiations, Mr. Ladati.
Well, thank you, and good evening. This is our first meeting since the referendum was was certified. I want to thank the committee, Mr. Goodell and Superintendent Arlington for all their hard work putting this visionary proposal together for consideration from the town. I also want to thank the rest of the board for their support on the referendum. As Mr. Goodell hit a lot of topics that were on my report here, but again, we're moving quickly to implement the projects. Mr. Ganella, as noted in his presentation, it seems like we have a great plan in place that's going to kind of do this in an efficient and timely manner. Mr. Ganella also noted that the bond sale is tomorrow. We previously voted on this in our last meeting, which authorized Mr. Ganella and our financial advisor to accept the best competitive proposal. And as Mr. Ganella also stated, rates are changing, so it's important that we get this done tomorrow, right, Vince? Tomorrow. Unfortunately, we're getting to that time of year. All our snow removal equipment is in good shape, and we're all ready. We're kind of preparing for winter. We do plan on buying additional snow blower, as our current ones, although they're okay and maintained, they are very old. So we're going to try to grab a new snow blower for the winter. Plans for the non-referendum projects are moving along, and they include the pole barn, the boiler and chiller pumps, and adding additional systems to the generator. As for resolutions, you just heard Mr. Arlington present his report. The resolutions 2 and 3 are for the district financials. I reviewed, scanned them, found them all to be in order. There were no line item transfers over the $5,000 cap. 6 is the speech language pathologist. 7 is transportation, and Vince hit all the rest, basically, the resolutions in his report. So unless there are any questions for the financials, you can move on.
Anyone, any additional questions, or do you need a minute?
Good. Just one more thing. There's nothing on negotiations for us at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ladati. Next up, Personnel and Management, Mr. Haberthorn.
Thank you. There's 10 resolutions tonight. 11 and 12, accept the resignation of a Harding English teacher and a custodian in Harding Elementary. Resolution 13 is the approval of a pre-kindergarten, approval to hire a pre-kindergarten special education teacher. Resolution 14 is the payment to a recent retired teacher for unused sick days. Resolution 15 approves the change in aides hours. Resolution 16 is the approval of KEA sidebar agreement stipends. Resolution 17 is the approval of the 22-23 athletic stipend positions. Resolution 18 is the approval of the ESEA after-school enrichment program staff. Resolution 19 is the approval of home instruction. And resolution number 20 is the approval of substitute staff. And that is it. Thank you.
Questions for Mr. Haberthorn? No? Okay, thank you. Up next, Mr. Jankowicz, Curriculum and Instruction.
Great, thank you. So prior to this evening's meeting, the curriculum committee met. We met with the Director of Curriculum and Instruction, Ms. Hempel. She gave us a tour of the makerspace. Really, really exciting, really awesome to be a student and seeing this. Really exciting. So we got a little preview of the esports room, which is really really neat. We got to see the 3D printers in action, which was really cool. Never seen them work before, so that was really exciting. We got that we got to see, I guess, examples of different design and robotic tables that they had. The teachers left out different projects and stuff for the kids. So it was really really neat. And then we did a quick tour of the new space where the traditional library is as well. There are still books that exist, so we saw them and smelled them. We also then we came back to the room. Actually, before that, we also saw the new math room. There's 2 new math setups and designs for the math space, which was really interesting as well. So then we came back here and we got some updates on professional development, different ideas on different coaching models. She went through some new teacher support, as well as some action plans for follow-up from the NJSLA. Moving on to the resolutions. I think there's 3 resolutions. The first one is related to student teachers. That's Resolution 21. Resolution 22 is the Kane Counseling Practicum Agreement. And then Resolution 23 is the approval of the HIB report from September. Does anyone have any questions?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jankowitz. Any old business? New business?
It's more, just more of a comment or I don't know what I want. So with this, I'm reading a report here that says during gym they were playing Jenga. I see kids like walking around. So, I mean, is that really gym? I mean, is it gym? It's more of a comment than anything else on what we're doing with the athletic.
I think that was indoor recess, actually.
Okay.
I think it said, because it said, I have to get more
It said during
clarification.
gym, so that's.
Yeah, I know, but then it said something about the head teacher in charge.
Okay,
The
I
teacher
just
in charge, yeah.
don't know what we're paying these people with
Maybe it was recess.
athletic
Could have been recess in the gym.
degrees and everything and the kids are walking around the,
Well, gym has all different.
I know, it's just, I guess I'm too old. Where we used to play football and basketball and everything else during gym.
Soccer, wrestling,
Yeah, soccer, wrestling, et cetera.
dodgeball.
Dodgeball.
Yeah.
Okay.
That-
So
that-
it
that
wasn't
will
more of
happen.
a, wasn't a question, it was maybe just a commentary.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ladati. A few things under new business. We want to congratulate all of our fall sports teams on their many victories, and also for receiving the County Sportsmanship Award. We'd like to thank the parents and the booster clubs for their dedication to our students and teams during their seasons. We'd also like to thank the PTOs, the teachers, and the leadership teams for all the Halloween celebrations. And we also would like to acknowledge what a wonderful event and the feedback we got from the Hispanic Heritage Month. And lastly, wish everybody a safe, healthy, and happy holiday. At this time, we will open the meeting up to the public. Is there a motion to open the meeting to the public?
So move.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Jankowicz, seconded by Mrs. Drogan. All those in favor of opening the meeting to the public, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Ayes have it, motion carried. Meeting is now open to the public.
Seeing none, I'll make a motion.
Oh,
Sorry, Brent.
It's
gotta
read
this whole quick.
That's my statement.
I can
I
read
was
it
trying
from
to
the.
be.
I can
I
read
was
it too,
trying
I
to
just
get Mr.
wanna
David to
steal your thunder.
Public comment will be accepted. The Board of Education sets the limit for the public to speak at the board meeting to 5 minutes per person unless prior permission has been granted by the Board of Education to extend time pursuant to KBOE Board of Education bylaw 0167. For the record, please indicate your name and address in all public comments.
Motion? Anybody know?
Well, is there anyone?
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I please have a motion to close the meeting to the public? Second? Okay, motion made by Mr. Viner, seconded by Mrs. Tiers. All those in favor of closing the meeting to the public, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion's carried. The meeting is now closed to the public for comment. Mr. Ganella, can we please vote on resolutions?
Yes, we have 23 resolutions on this evening's agenda. Do any of them need to be voted on separately? Okay, this is for resolutions 1 through 23. Viner.
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Drogan.
Yes.
Haberthor.
Yes.
Jankowitz.
Yes.
Ladati.
Yes.
Tiers.
Yes.
Panici.
Yes.
Motion's carry unanimously.
Wonderful. Is there a need to go into closed executive session?
Nope.
No? Okay. If there's no need, then I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Is there a motion to
So
adjourn?
moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. David, seconded by Mr. Haberthor. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, ayes have it, motion is carried. The meeting is now adjourned.